Welcome to the good, the bad and the ugly. Where the mighty have fallen, the good get ugly, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. This time we train the lens on 5 careless celebrities who've seen intimate scenes from their private lives splashed across the internet.
I just want someone I can trust, someone I can tell anything to and know it's not going to get out, and someone who's a good person in their heart.
It can't be easy being Paris Hilton. When you're as famous for being famous as she is, everyone wants a piece of you. And a minor indiscretion tonight could end up on tomorrow's front page. But it seems this heiress could care less.
You know, yeah, obviously, like, I sometimes think everybody's always watching me. There's never not someone looking at me or taking a picture. So it gets hard, but, you know, that's the business I've chose to be in, and you just have to live with it.
That pragmatic approach to life in the public eye has no doubt evolved over the decade or so since Paris began parading herself at parties, premieres, fashion shows, and the odd opening of an envelope. While she can afford to be a little more choosy nowadays about the photo opportunities she decides to say yes to, in the early days it was all about maximum exposure. When the cameras turned on, so did Paris. She may have got slightly more exposure than even she could have wished for when she agreed to let then-boyfriend Rick Salomon tape their lovemaking back in 2003. And when the video turned up on the internet, entitled "One Night in Paris," it looked like she'd finally bitten off more than she could chew. Proving himself to be a wily businessman as well as a love rat, Rick then struck a distribution deal with a DVD company and even gave an introduction at the start of each scene on the video. He then had the kahunas to sue Paris for defamation for publicly claiming that she'd been out of it when the tape was being made. She in turn sued over the release of the video and was awarded $400,000. The video went on to bag 3 Adult Video News Awards for Best-Selling Title of the Year, Best Renting Title of the Year, and Best Overall Marketing Campaign. And it's fair to say that while Paris appeared deeply disgruntled about the film, its release just 3 months ahead of the debut of her MTV series The Simple Life must have had the show's producers rubbing their hands with glee. A few months later, while still glowing red from that embarrassment, she was faced with the humiliating task of ringing round all her celebrity mates and confessing that someone had hacked into her phone. The numbers and email addresses of A-listers like Eminem, Vin Diesel, Lindsay Lohan and Christina Aguilera, to name but a few, had found their way onto the web. No doubt many of the same celebrities wasted no time in changing their contact details again 6 years later, after Paris lost her phone in a nightclub. Just to make things even more tantalizing for enterprising hangers-on, she also lost track of her digital camera. And as her sister Nikki knows, there has never been any shortage of opportunists on the lookout to cash in.
Yes, there's definitely been a lot of users in her life. I don't think it's necessary to name names, it's pretty obvious. So I think that she really was looking for someone who does not care about the spotlight, that at all. Someone who just genuinely wanted to hang out with her and liked her for her and no other reason.
Perhaps her protective sis was having a bit of a sideswipe at her former bestie and party partner Nicole Richie, with whom she co-starred in The Simple Life. The pair went from being inseparable to becoming arch enemies overnight back in 2004. While neither of them officially gave reasons for the feud, rumours abounded that Nicole fell foul of the heiress by screening One Night in Paris for friends at a party. The next series of A Simple Life was canned and Paris moved on.
I'm doing a scripted show. Ryan Seacrest and I are producing it, and it's can't really tell the idea yet, but it's very, very cool.
It's going to be funny.
It's really funny. It's comedy.
Even more funny was the fact that the 2 feuding socialites were dating the same guy. Well, almost. While Nicole and Good Charlotte frontman Joel Madden were expecting their first child, Paris was flaunting her new relationship with Joel's twin brother Benji.
I'm very excited. Everything's going phenomenally well. Everything's really successful. I have an amazing relationship. I just bought a really beautiful new home, so my life has never been better. I just feel really at peace and really grateful for life.
Unfortunately, it was clear that she still had a lesson or two to learn about discretion when a few months after announcing her intention to marry Benji on the David Letterman show, the pair confirmed they had split, much to Nicole's alleged delight. Still, the latest dent in her dignity is unlikely to prove more than a minor setback in Paris's quest for world domination. With several films, a book, an album, a jewelry line, 4 fragrances, a porn video, and a prison sentence behind her, she's aiming far higher than simply inheriting the family business.
You know, I'm already building my own empire, and I have so much going on that I wouldn't need to, and I'm already doing my own hotel Parises, so they're not going to be Hiltons, they're going to be my own boutique hotels. So I'll be their competition.
Another celebrity who hasn't done too badly out of exposing himself is Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee. In 2003, maverick entrepreneur Scott Bloom asked him to strip down to his birthday suit to promote buymusic.com to bring attention to artists who are losing income through free downloads.
Well, how many people are going to pose naked in Times Square on a 200-foot billboard out there? Tommy Lee. So plus we're friends, we hang out.
We just kind of showed up and got naked and started clicking. You know, it was fun. We had a really, really good time. Cranked the music up. Away we went.
He could have been referring to an incident that had occurred 8 years earlier on his honeymoon with Pamela Anderson. The home video of the newlyweds making out on a yacht subsequently found its way onto the internet, becoming the most downloaded video of the year. Pamela and Tommy Lee sued, eventually winning $1.5 million from the offending distributor. But given Pam's image as a Baywatch pinup and Tommy Lee's prefix of bad boy drummer, the revelation that they'd filmed their lovemaking on their honeymoon was hardly a shock to anyone. While Pam was well used to exposing her assets, reviewers praised Tommy's hidden talent. In fact, even 7 years later, an internet company reported that 95% of searches on his name related to the stolen tape, with only 5% of seekers interested in his drumming. Any real fans of Motley Crue would have seen it all before, as the shameless exhibitionist is given to mooning the audience at nearly every show. It's all in a day's work for the hard rocker whose career has been built on controversial stunts, from throwing television sets through hotel room windows to being thrown into the slammer for assaulting his ex-wife. Ironically, he has since claimed that his 4 months in prison gave him a much-needed break from the spotlight. But since Motley Crue reformed in 2004, he's jumped back on the self-promotional bandwagon. First, there was the reality TV show Tommy Lee Goes to College, where he got to enroll at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln.
I never had the opportunity to go to college. You know, at a young age, I got a recording contract with Motley Crue, and I've pretty much been making records and touring since then. So I kind of got robbed of that experience, and when this came about, I was like, you know what? Sounds like a lot of fun. And
then there was the star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Who loves you more than anything in the whole world? I love you guys. Thank you. This is incredible. What? I got a star in Hollywood Boulevard.
Even as the veteran rockers celebrated making it through 25 years of hard rock and roll, someone had to bring up the sex tape.
Tommy Lee's my favorite.
Tell me a little bit about why.
Why he's your... Well, you really want me to tell you that? Because he's good at 2 things. He's good with sticks, and it looks like he's pretty good in the sack, so...
Then came Crue Fest.
How long have we been waiting to do this, dudes? Forever?
Yeah, forever.
This is going to be so much fun. This is something we've been looking forward to for a long time, talked about for a long time. And hopefully this thing transpires into somewhat of an Ozfest and carries on for years and years and years, which would be badass, right?
No doubt learning from Ozzy Osbourne just how much money was to be creamed by original hard rockers who'd got enough brain cells left to get their head around merchandising, they were ready to round up the groups and get out on the road.
A lot of young fans, you know, at the concerts, it was a lot of, 14, 15, 16-year-old kids wearing Shout the Devil shirts, which was pretty cool, because obviously they weren't live when we made that record. And so to do a festival with these, all of these genres of different genres of rock and roll, that we're bringing out, just to expose more and more younger fans and the older fans that grow up with these bands also. And hey, it's a cool thing, not only for us to be able to see the new young guns coming up.
For Tommy Lee, it was all just rock and roll.
I can tell you one thing for sure: we are going to have more fun than humans are allowed to have. That's for sure.
Equally well known for his love of a good time is alleged 100-cigarette-a-day actor Colin Farrell. Smelling like an ashtray doesn't seem to have dampened the pulling power of the young Irishman who burst into Hollywood on the back of his breakthrough role in the Joel Schumacher film Tigerland. In 2003, he came in at number 6 on Company magazine's list of the world's sexiest men. By that time, he'd already been married and divorced and was expecting a baby with his then-girlfriend, Kim Bordenave. But that didn't stop the romance rumours flying when he was seen holding hands with Britney Spears at the premiere of his 2003 film, The Recruit. And Britney's cheeky response to the press that he was a good kisser didn't help matters.
What's he like? Is he a good guy? He's a good kisser.
But Colin was having none of it.
I'm with 25 people, we're all having He
promptly changed the subject and waxed lyrical about the honour of working with Al Pacino.
It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, I was awestruck. There's no other way to look at it. I mean, it's one thing working with, I've been nervous before working with big names and stars and stuff in the last couple of years, but this was different. I mean, this is, you'd hate me to say this because it takes it outside of what he is and what he wants to be and what he is, which is an incredible actor and an artist. But I mean, he's a living legend,
Having witnessed the paparazzi's propensity to sniff out the whiff of a scandal, one might have expected Colin to exercise a little discretion when it came to his intimate relations. If nothing else, the experiences of Paris Hilton and Tommy Lee should have taught him to keep the camera out of the bedroom if he wanted to keep his private life private. Sadly, it was not to be. A few months later, Colin made a video of him and Playboy model Nicole Narain having sex. 2 years later, of course, it turned up on a website called dirtycolin.com. The site received so many hits, it shut down in the first day. The 14-minute tape was then pirated and distributed far and wide via file-sharing systems. Colin was outraged and threatened to sue the sites hosting the tape, before turning his legal attention onto his video co-star, Nicole, who claimed she wasn't the source of the leak. But after Colin launched a lawsuit, they reached an out-of-court settlement. However, Colin's overexposure on the net wasn't to be his only source of embarrassment. Nearing the big 3-0, his famous love of a good party was catching up with him.
Getting out of bed every morning. I was so tired. I just finished our tour. I don't know. Just trying to keep up with these boys,
Did you learn anything from him, do you think, about either Hollywood or acting or whatever? Did you have
Not really.
tips?
No, not really. No. I learned I can't drink as much tequila, so.
Finally, while making Miami Vice with fellow carouser Jamie Foxx, it did all catch up with him. He reportedly collapsed on set and ended up checking himself into rehab. The official line was that he was suffering from exhaustion and an addiction to prescription medications, which had developed after being prescribed painkillers for an injured back. However, that story sounded a little tall in light of Colin's earlier admissions that he'd had a drug problem as a teenager and would rather go to the pub than the gym. A year later, at the Venice premiere of the Woody Allen film Cassandra's Dream, he was proud of being clean and sober.
I mean, I think every day you wake up and you get out of bed, you're given another chance. Literally, I really do. I mean, I see life and I try to deal with life in small increments and try not to cast my mind down the road, which is very hard, or the road either ahead or behind, and try to just
deal at whatever step I'm in at the moment. So with that in mind, seriously, every day is a new chance to possibly reinvent yourself or try and find what the things that are important to you truly are, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
For the time being, at least, Colin's efforts at self-reinvention seem to have curbed his famous compulsion for cursing in interviews. While Janet Jackson has masterfully maintained her grip on verbal propriety throughout more than 30 years of public appearances, she has been known to let the odd piece of clothing slip during the course of a performance. Since shedding her butter wouldn't melt image as the youngest member of the Jackson family, Janet's increasingly sexual image has seen her donning more and more risque outfits on stage and in her videos. When she performed Rock Your Body with Justin Timberlake during halftime at the 2004 Super Bowl, few would have expected any literal intention behind the lyrics. But as Justin sang "Gonna Have You Naked" before the end of this song, he ripped open Janet's bustier, treating 144 million viewers to the sight of Janet's right breast. After the show, Janet apologized, pleading a wardrobe malfunction. But the Federal Communications Commission didn't buy it and fined CBS $500,000. Another company that wasn't wearing it was the maker of the offending bustier. Sam Hill from Demask was adamant the whole stunt must have been carefully planned with the help of Janet's team.
Our stuff is so well manufactured that I strongly believe that item was altered or modified by stylists or her wardrobe crew so that the bust cup could clip on and clip off for the finale.
Sam claimed Janet's stylists had come to the store 2 weeks before the infamous event and bought the $250 bustier along with other leather and rubber accessories. The bustier was fitted with sturdy studs that held the breast cups in place. Having become the scapegoat for Janet's inappropriate halftime flash, the store didn't care a jot about the damage to her reputation. They just wanted her to drop the wardrobe malfunction and acknowledge that the outfit was altered for the finale. As far as they were concerned, the whole incident was nothing to get excited about.
Well, I think when you work in this kind of industry, certain things are more appropriate. Right. You know, you're a little bit more open-minded than perhaps the rest of America.
However, soothing the manufacturer's wounded pride was the least of Janet's worries. As well as dealing with warnings and demands for apologies from all quarters, she was threatened with a lawsuit by a woman from Tennessee demanding billions of dollars in compensation for an unspecified serious injury as a result of the halftime show. While Justin's career continued to blossom after the incident, poor Janet was banned from attending that year's Grammy Awards, and she was forced to pull out of her starring role in a biopic of legendary jazz and blues singer Lena Horne. 3 years later, she was well covered up at a press conference in Japan to promote her album 20YO.
How do you like your wedding kimono?
Thank you very much. I like it. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's comfortable for me. They didn't make it very tight, so I'm very comfortable.
She talked up her 2006 release as a return to the R&B style of her early albums and seemed to have shrugged off the fetish gear.
When I had my first meeting with Jermaine Dupri and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who produced and wrote the album with me, the very first thing I said to them is that I wanted to get back to dance. I miss dancing, so I wanted it to be a dance album. And I wanted to get back to my R&B roots the way I did with the Control album.
While one critic suggested she'd be better off not making the comparison, others praised the album. Glenn Gamboa of Newsday noted with relief that she keeps most of the tie-me-up, tie-me-down sexual raunch of her recent albums in the closet. This album is all about dancing and returning to her R&B roots. And having won her way back into public acceptance, all Janet wanted to do was dance.
Dance to me is everything. I love what I do. I love writing music. I love creating music, singing it, but it really wouldn't be what it truly is for me without the dance. And dance it expresses. Everyone, you know, you have your own feel, your own style, and it's a great way for your individual, so you are able to express yourself through your dance, making you who you are, expressing that through your dance.
One celebrity who seems impervious to embarrassment is David Hasselhoff. For the actor who made his name by driving around in a talking car in the 80s series Knight Rider, the endless parade of Mickey-taking and parodies is water off a duck's back.
I like to have as much fun with my characters I play as everyone else does. And, you know, I actually went on television and took on all of Australia with my own T-shirt that said, "Don't hassle the Hoff," and when you see that, that's mine.
Far from being bashful about spending 11 years pounding the beach in Speedos, he's sentimental about his time on Baywatch.
You know, they always say when you're an actor, you have to clear the eye line. Well, our eye line was really difficult because behind you would be all these babes going, you know. It was actually a lot of fun. It was, you know, as much as, you know, there really was a great sense of family on the show. As much as everybody thought it was this big, sexist, wild show, it wasn't. We had a blast every day. Our biggest challenge was to cover up the tattoos on the girls.
But then why wouldn't he be proud of the show that earned him the lion's share of his $100 million fortune? The story goes that back in 1989, after being cast in Baywatch, the series got cancelled after only one season. Dancing to the beat of his own drum, the Hoff backed his hunch that the show had potential, ploughing his own money into a second series and signing on as executive producer. The show ran in syndication for another 10 seasons, and according to the Guinness Book of Records, Baywatch is the most watched TV show in the world. He's also had the last laugh in his much-maligned singing career. His showmanship and talent for self-parody may not have brought him hits in his home country, but the Europeans have been buying up his CDs like there's no tomorrow since 1989, when his hit Looking for Freedom became something of an anthem in Eastern European communist regimes.
Come see the Hoff in concert, and man, I know I got an audience out there. I just came from Ireland yesterday, and I'm telling you, I could tour Ireland for the next 10 years. Oh my, it's unbelievable.
Beneath all the fun-loving larrikin bravado, however, there does lurk a dark side, one that someone close to him attempted to make him face by deliberately leaking a private video to the press. Filmed by his daughter, the mobile phone footage of a shirtless, incoherent Hoff rolling around a hotel room floor trying to find his mouth with a hamburger was designed to shock David out of his state of denial about his drinking. Despite being ejected from the All England Tennis Club and Heathrow Airport the previous year for being drunk, not to mention slicing his arm on a chandelier while shaving, he was still claiming to be clean and sober. The humiliating footage left him with no legs to stand on, and as a result, his visitation rights to his daughters were suspended, and he was forced to comply with the court's order to keep away from alcohol. Miraculously, however, just 1 month later, he was awarded sole custody of the girls at the end of a bitter battle between him and his ex-wife, Pamela Bark.
Nice day to be at the beach, huh? What are you guys all doing here?